Jai Hind everyone. I am Bibek Kumar Pansari, Assistant Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. This is a very small video related to pressure and Pascal's law and how the pressure is measured. Okay, so very small video is this. So, but at the end of this video, we will be able to understand this term, ki what do we mean by fluid pressure here. Okay, so the topic for today's video is pressure measurement, but before going to the measurement of pressure, we must understand ki what basically the pressure is. So, pressure is defined as a normal force exerted by fluid per unit area. In previous videos in which we are talking about the fluid flow, where we considered that the shear stresses, but when a fluid is contained somewhere, then in that case the pressure we consider, and that pressure is what? That the normal force exerted by a fluid per unit of area. So, we speak of pressure only when we deal with a gas or liquid. The counterpart of pressure in solid is normal stress. Yes, that is what we discussed in solid mechanics, ki whenever a material is subjected to any force which causes the deformation, it offers certain resistance, and that resistance offered by material against the deformation when taken per unit area, then that term is considered as stress. But in fluid or liquid or gases, we generally consider about the pressure, and pressure is, that is why normal force we have considered here, because in stresses also we here we are talking about the normal stress. So, the pressure is clear. I hope ki the pressure is defined as the normal force exerted by a fluid per unit area. So, if the area is less and force is same, then obviously the pressure will be higher, or as the area is increasing with the same force, the pressure felt by that surface or that body will be lesser. This is what we all understand in our 8th, 9th standard. We discuss ki why a nail can be inserted, why a needle can be pierced easily, why can be cut with the help of that knife. So, these all things are known to us. I am not going into much detail of that. So, we know. So, for our discussion purpose, the pressure is normal force exerted by a fluid per unit of area. Since pressure is defined as force per unit area, it has a unit of Newton per meter square, which is called as Pascal, and notation is PA. 1 Pascal equals to 1 Newton per meter square. The pressure unit Pascal is too small for pressure encountered in daily life. Therefore, its multiples kilopascal and megapascal are generally used. So, 1 Pascal is a very small unit for pressure measurements. That is why we generally use kPa or MPa, and these are known to us. K matlab 10 to the power 3, and mega if I am talking about, then it is 10 to the power 6. Other pressure units commonly used in practice, especially in Europe, are bar. Yes, sometimes in gases when we deal, we come across the bar unit. So, 1 bar equal to how much? It is 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Many times we measure pressure in terms of atmospheric pressure, because atmospheric pressure is the base for measurement. So, 1 atmospheric pressure is equal to how much? 1 atmospheric pressure is equal to 101.325 Pascal, 101.325 kilopascal, or I can say 1.01325 of bars. It means around 10 to the power 5 Pascal pressure we are generally having. Okay. So, this is what the pressure, the units related. The actual pressure at a given position is called the absolute pressure, and it is measured relative to the absolute vacuum, absolute zero pressure. Now, this term is very interesting. If I have to measure the pressure here, then I will be using certain device. It can be a pressure gauge. So, that pressure gauge, the pressure measured through that pressure gauge, that is considered as gauge pressure. I will be coming to the difference. But if I have to talk about the absolute pressure at that point, then absolute must have certain reference, and that reference can be a absolute zero only. So if I measure the pressure in any surrounding or in any space with respect to absolute vacuum where the zero pressure is there, then that pressure is known as absolute pressure. But most of the pressure measuring devices are calibrated to read zero in the atmospheric condition. Now I am coming to that point. If I have to measure the pressure with the help of this pressure gauge, my pressure measuring device, my pressure gauge is calibrated like this, कि in atmospheric pressure condition it reads 0. It reads 0 when the atmospheric pressure is there. So obviously if the pressure is more than the atmospheric pressure, then only it will give some reading. So the reference point for this pressure gauge is what? The reference point for pressure gauge is that atmospheric pressure. So I can't say that the pressure measured through this device is the absolute pressure, because absolute pressure has to be measured with respect to absolute zero. It means the perfect vacuum condition. So this is to be cleared here. So most pressure measuring device, however, are calibrated to read 0 in the atmosphere, and so they indicate the difference between the absolute pressure and the local atmospheric pressure, and this difference is known as gauge pressure. It will be very clear from this particular diagram. This is the absolute vacuum condition. This is the absolute vacuum condition. So if absolute vacuum is there, then obviously the pressure will be 0. So P absolute, whatever I am writing, it is the absolute 0 here. If I am using some pressure gauge device, and that pressure gauge device is based on what? It has taken P atmospheric as a base. So obviously the pressure gauge device or pressure measuring device will measure the pressure above the atmospheric pressure. So this P gauge, but P gauge is the pressure what? P gauge is the pressure between atmospheric pressure to the absolute pressure. But if I have to take the absolute pressure, exact absolute pressure, then I have to take with reference to absolute vacuum. So this is what the, so pressures below atmospheric pressure. So in that case I have considered the positive pressure, which is above the atmospheric pressure. But if the pressure at any point is below the atmospheric pressure, it means it is negative with respect to atmospheric pressure. That is considered as vacuum pressure and are measured by vacuum gauges that indicate the difference between the atmospheric pressure and the absolute pressure. Absolute gauge and vacuum pressures are all positive quantities and are related to each other. So we can say the P gauge is the difference of what? Obviously the absolute pressure with respect to absolute vacuum and P atmospheric. So this is what the pressure gauge reads, because pressure gauge reads only about the what? Atmospheric conditions, and P vacuum is what? P vacuum similarly we can find it is the P atmospheric minus P absolute, because in that condition when the pressure at any point is less than the atmospheric pressure, then as compared to the atmospheric pressure it is negative. But so it is P atmospheric minus P absolute. It is the pressure at this particular point. So I hope now it is clear ki what is the meaning of absolute vacuum, absolute zero pressure, and P gauge and P vacuum. In thermodynamic relations and tables, absolute pressure is almost always used. Throughout this course, the pressure P will denote absolute pressure unless specified otherwise. Now we are coming to the term pressure at a point. So pressure as already defined, it's the compressive force per unit area. So it is the compressive force per unit area, and it gives the impression of being a vector, but it is not a vector quantity, it is a scalar quantity. That's what we will try to justify with the help of Pascal's law. So it's the compressive force per unit area. However, the pressure at any point in fluid is same in all directions. That's why it has magnitude but not a specific direction, and it is considered as scalar quantity. So pressure, it is force, compressive force per unit area, although force is a vector quantity, but pressure is a scalar quantity. It is having same magnitude in all directions. So that's what we are trying to justify here with the Pascal's law. So here we have taken a fluid is here, and from the fluid a triangular badge shaped element is taken for our consideration. And what basically, why the triangular wedge element is taken? Because we have to take care about different directions. So here the directions are different planes. One plane is in this direction, one plane is in this direction, another plane is in this direction. So 3 directions we are considering. Okay, and what we are considering? We are considering the pressure force and the weight. These 2 things we are considering here. Okay, x, y, z axis are shown here. In the direction of y, what is the force? So in that y direction, Py is the pressure in y direction, and when this pressure is multiplied with the surface on which this pressure is exerted, so the area of this will be how much? This will be delta x into delta z. So Py into delta x into delta z, this is what the force in y direction. Similarly, I can find the force in z direction, Pz into delta x into delta y. Delta x is the depth of this wedge inside the board. Delta y is the length of this wedge. So delta x and delta y is the surface area for this. When I multiply this with Pz, which is the pressure in the z direction, it becomes force in z direction. Another pressure force which we can take, so I am selecting a inclined wedge surface, inclined surface on wedge, and on that the pressure is Ps. Okay, and length of this inclined surface is delta s and the depth is delta x. So this becomes the force in theta direction, which on inclined plane, perpendicular to this plane which is inclined by theta. Okay, so 3 pressure forces we considered, one in y direction, another one in z direction, another which is perpendicular to the inclined plane, and that inclined plane is inclined by theta degree. Another force which we are considering, that's the weight of this triangular wedge shaped fluid element. So this is what the specific gravity gamma, and delta x, delta y, delta z upon 2, this is what the volume we can consider. So this is the forces, this is the free body diagram for triangular wedge shaped fluid element, and all the forces are shown. Okay, so here you can again see that particular diagram. Okay, the same diagram I discussed there. So this can be demonstrated by considering a small wedge shaped fluid element that was obtained by removing a small triangular wedge of fluid from some arbitrary location within a fluid mass. Okay, since we are considering the situation in which there are no shearing stresses, it means the fluid is not flowing. The only external forces acting on the wedge are due to the pressure and weight. So here we are not considering the flow of fluid, so shear stresses are not considered, only the normal stresses are considered, normal forces are considered. So normal in fluid is the pressure, normal is the pressure, and other than this pressure, the weight of the fluid element is also taken into consideration. So pressure and weight. For the simplicity, the forces in the x direction are not shown, and the z axis is taken as the vertical axis. So the weight acts in the negative z direction. So this is what very clear from the free body diagram of this triangular fluid element. Okay. From Newton's second law, a force balance in the y and z direction gives what? Obviously sigma f y equal to 0. Okay, sigma f y equal to 0. If the fluid element is in equilibrium, then we can apply this equation. Okay, so Py delta x delta z, Py delta x delta z, and another force in y direction, obviously the component of this, which Px delta x delta s, and this is the theta angle. So we can get the component in y direction, negative y direction, that will be Px into delta x into delta s sin theta. This is the equation number 1. Similarly, we can write the equation in z direction also. In z direction, one pressure force is there, this is positive upward. Another one, because this Ps delta x into delta s is having 2 components. One we have already taken into consideration, second one is the cos component of this, so which is Px delta x dx cos theta. And another force in the z direction is, which is the minus gamma delta x, delta y, delta z upon 2 equals to 0. So, these are the two equations from force equilibrium condition. So, sigma Fy equal to 0, sigma Fz equal to 0. Where Ps, Py and Pz, what are Ps, Py and Pz? Ps, Py, Pz are the average pressure on the faces, and gamma and rho are the fluid specific weight and density. From the geometry, what can I write? From the geometry, what can I write? Delta y I can write as delta s cos theta, very simple, nothing special, right angle triangle properties we are using, and delta z equal to delta s sin theta. So, the last term in equation B drops out as delta x, delta y and delta z tends to 0, and the wedge becomes infinite small, and thus the fluid element shrinks at a point. So, pressure at a point, thus substituting and simplifying the results, we can say the Py equal to Ps, Pz equal to Ps, or Py equal to Ps equal to Pz. So, by simplifying this, okay, by simplifying these relations, when I am applying sigma Fy and sigma Fz equal to 0. So, by simplifying this, we can say Py equal to Ps, and Py from the equation A, Py equal to Ps, and from the equation B, we can say the Pz is also equal to Ps. So, Py equal to Ps, Pz equal to Ps, it means Py, Pz and Ps are equal. What does it mean? Py, the pressure, average pressure in y direction, Pz, average pressure in z direction, Ps, average pressure perpendicular to the inclined surface, all are same in magnitude. Thus, we can conclude the pressure at a point in a fluid has the same magnitude in all directions. So, here we have taken three directions into consideration, y, z and perpendicular to the normal, perpendicular to the inclined surface. So, here by this we can conclude the pressure at a point in a fluid has same magnitude in all directions. It means it is direction dependent, it is direction independent. So, it is a scalar quantity. So, it can be shown in the absence of shear forces. Here the fluid is not flowing. So, it can be shown in the absence of shear forces that this result is applicable to fluids in motion, rigid body motion, or no relative motion between the layer as well as the fluid at rest. So, this is the important conclusion of Pascal's law. Fluid, the pressure is having magnitude but not having the direction, and the pressure at a point in a fluid is having same magnitude in all the directions. So, I hope by this video we will be able to understand what is basically the pressure, what do we mean by pressure at a point, is it a scalar quantity or a vector quantity, and what is the difference between the absolute pressure, vacuum pressure, gauge pressure, atmospheric pressure. So, although I told earlier that this is a very small video related to pressure only, a small topic, but I hope the things are clear. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you.